Hey, my stars, and welcome back to my channel. I am super excited because today is the launch of season 2 of Boundless Visionaries. And I have a very special guest today. I have an artist. He's been in the game for over 20 years now, and he comes to us by way of New Jersey. He is filled with a plethora of knowledge. So without further ado, I welcome you, Jose Manuel Cruz. Hey, Jose.
Oh there, how you doing, Deborah?
I'm
It's
good. Thank
great,
you
great.
so much for joining me today.
Totally welcome. It's a pleasure. I've really been looking forward to this.
Oh, stop. So, could you tell everyone a little bit about you and your background?
Sure. So, my name is Jose Manuel Cruz, and I've been living here in North Carolina now for over 18 years with my wife and my two daughters, who are both educators. And I come via Newark, New Jersey, aka Brick City. And I've been, teaching. I teach middle school art at James E. Shepherd IB Middle School. I've been there for 8 years, and prior to that, I taught in Wake County. And I also do my artwork on the side, my professional artwork and photography also. So.
That is awesome. I didn't know about the photography. How long have you been doing that?
Photography ever since high school. So, not to talk too much about my age, but in the 80s. So, I graduated from Arts High School, where a lot of other known people have come out of there, including Sarah Vaughan and Tisha Campbell, Savion Glover, and one of the latest, Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, I
So,
was about to say Michael B. Jordan.
yeah.
So, when you got into that school, wait, let's back up. Did you
Okay.
always want to be an artist?
Well, when I was younger, I thought about being an astronaut. And then from there, I wanted to go into engineering. But, the art was always there. And so I stuck with that. And then I went to Burnett Street School where my art teacher, Professor Bernard, was there. And he kind of guided me. He wanted, he made me his protege. And he was like, his mission was to get me into arts high. So everything I did throughout my elementary school years, K through 8, was about prepping me up, preparing me, and allowing me to be creative and to basically to be like a sponge and learn as much as I can from him and being in other classes at the same time.
When you were telling people, hey, I'm interested in being an artist, this is something I really see myself doing. Did you get a lot of support or was it like, I don't know about that?
The funny thing is there was a lot of support there. I mean, my parents were very supportive. I have four brothers and a sister, and they've always been supportive. And I had a cousin named Michael, and Michael still draws on and off, but it was good to have some competition in the family also. So from Michael, my cousin George, my cousin Ralph, so it was some competition there. And then of course, when you get into arts high is, it's just like a big thing because you got students there from all over the city that were coming, and it wasn't just because it was just like a district school. So it was a big thing.
Yeah, that is a huge accomplishment. So you're at the school and you're like, yeah, this was my first goal to get into the school as an artist. You
Right.
graduate, and then what? How do you make being an artist, a career? You hear so many
Well,
people say the struggling artist.
well, the funny thing is that I mean I've met so many of my mentors at the high school level that from the late Alita Caldwell to besides Bernard and Walery Carrico and Jan Carden, it was so many different art teachers there that they basically motivated me and motivated all the students to like say, hey, look, this is something I really want to do. So even besides being an artist, and one thing that they instilled in me was, I think I want to be an educator. So that's one thing that I pursued was to be an educator. But of course, getting into college and then, taking those 6 hour long classes when it came to art and knowing that I had the talent. And one of my mentors, Ben Jones, would always say, you can't rely on the talent. It's about the discipline and the commitment that you make. The talent is always going to be there, but if you don't have that discipline, it's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah,
So
that is so true. And now, as an educator, you're teaching what grades?
I teach middle school, sixth,
Okay.
seventh, eighth grade. Yes.
Okay. And I'm sure you see a lot of talented students that you probably say, you just need that discipline.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I had a student who was like that a couple years ago, and she was relying so much on her talent, and and her peers loved everything that she did and everything. And then when it came to me, I was like, okay,
Mm.
how about you do that over? And her thing was like, well, why should I do it over? It looks good. And I had to really have a good talk with her and let her know. And then not only that, but like show her by example. So I would do certain things that she was working on and take it to a different level, and she would see that. So now, believe it or not, I have her now in my eighth grade class, and the discipline is there. So now it's my challenge to make sure that I keep giving her some rigorous work where she's always being challenged, and I don't want it to get to the point where it's like, oh my goodness, can I get something else to do or make sure that she's bored? So I got to make sure that as my purpose is to make sure that I keep pushing her.
Absolutely. I love that. I tour areas and I talk to children a lot, and I always ask them, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And I hear a lot of creative, different things. And children want to be artists. I hear that a lot, actually. And I put that in my book. One kid says, I want to be an artist. I have a picture of a kid that's holding up a paintbrush. So, what would you tell people who want to pursue art and in some way, and they're like, I don't even know if this is possible? What advice would you give to them?
Well, make sure you finish your schooling first, of course, and to always keep that in mind. And there's so many other things that you can do with the art. I mean, art is everywhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's the clothes you wear, whether it's the chair you're sitting in, the cars you drive and everything else like that. Art is everywhere. So you don't have to necessarily be a visual artist. I mean, you can go to school for fashion merchandising. You can be the person that travels around the world and goes to these different fashion shows and say, hey, look, I think we can put this in our store, or I'm going to buy in bulk and everything else like that. Or you can be that type of person who's a textile designer who's designing the fabrics and for the garments that are being made and everything else like that. Or you can be that person who is an assistant to someone, who is, whether they're a photographer. I mean, they're always going to need someone who's going to be lighting someone and everything else like that. So I remember I had a friend of mine who graduated from Arts High, and he was a photographer in Brooklyn. And he hired me for the summer, and I was basically for not so much his assistant, but I was the person who went out and got different props for his shoots. So he was a food photographer. So whenever he needed certain things, he would give me a load of cash, believe it or not, credit card, and his checkbook at that time. And I would go into Manhattan and go up and down Manhattan trying to find certain things that he needed. And then I would head back into Brooklyn, and that was it. And that was my job. But I was able to learn a lot, not only from that, from like scouting in a way, but from the process of him shooting and developing the film and everything else like that. So it helped me out as a photographer. I mean, now we have, digital cameras and everything else like that. So, and you have Photoshop and all these Lightroom and all these different software applications out there that you can use to basically enhance photographs. But at the end of the day, it's about whether or not you have a good eye or not to see things. And I think as an artist and a photographer, I learned that in high school through my photography teacher, Mr. Kareko, that you have to have a good eye. And that's one of the things that my elementary school art teacher always told me. He was just like, no, keep pushing yourself. Um, you know, what else do you see? And I tell my students that now, draw what you see, not what you think is there. Because once your mind starts playing games with you, and then next thing you know, it's just like, wait, that doesn't look like what is there. So
Mm.
you always draw what you see. I tell my students 80% of any drawing or painting or anything is looking. The
Mm.
other 20% is you putting the work in to make sure that it's there. But you have to like analyze something. You have to really, take a look at it.
I love that how you opened up what art is. Because when you said you thought about engineering, I thought, hey, that is a form of art. When you think about how things are built and put together, like art is so much more. So, do you believe everyone can be an artist or is art?
Yes. Now everybody doesn't believe that, but I mean, we're all different. We're all different in how we draw and how we look at things. And I think what happens is that the education takes kind of sometimes takes over. And then that's where you have to either separate your creativity from basically the curriculum in a way. Because, when you're in school and like now I teach cursive writing. They don't teach that in the schools anymore, but I teach it and I make sure that that's a mandatory thing for my students because that's a necessity in life that you need. But I also know that that's an art, the art of writing. I mean, whether it's writing in cursive or whether you're a graffiti artist and you're doing a piece on the wall or anything else like that. I mean, that's all about art. It's architecture, it's line, it's angles, it's perspective. It's all the elements and principles of design are in that. So, you don't ever want to throw that out the window, but it's there.
Yeah, I love it. So I've seen some of your work in the hands of Wendy Williams, other artists. Tell me about those experiences and those exchanges that you had with those individuals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to say that, working with Wendy Williams, my prayers are out to her now, but it was a good gig, this is when she was on the radio on WBLS in New York, and she put it out there that she was looking for certain artists in a certain style, and I submitted my work. A friend of mine told me about it. I submitted my work, and next thing you know, on the radio, she was like, "Oh, hey, Jose Cruz," and so I went up to the radio station, showed her my portfolio, and one of the first pieces that she commissioned me to do was to do a kind of like a family portrait of her ex-husband Kevin and her son Kevin Jr. So I did it, and I did it in my style, and I remember it was a 6 by 4 foot painting, and then after that, I just kept doing different things for her that she wanted me to do for her, and got hired as a photographer for her parents' 50th wedding anniversary, and took it from there, And I guess I've been blessed. I've been blessed to meet Grace Jones and do 2 pieces for her, and other artists. Savion Glover, I did a couple of pieces for him, and was able to meet other artists. And my gig was go out to these places where I knew they were going to be at and create a painting for them. And if I got an opportunity to be able to hand it to them or to give it to them, and that's what I would do. So it was pretty cool.
Create an opportunity, working hard, going after it, full throttle.
Yeah, you got to hustle. I mean, I think that's important for any artist to have some kind of hustle, no matter what is out there. I mean, it could have been airbrushing. I did a lot of airbrushing when airbrushing was popular, and doing t-shirts and doing hats and everything with graffiti on them and everything else like that because that's what was in.
Mhm.
But it helped me now because now I do airbrushing in some of my work now. So I do it at a more professional level, but it was a skill set that I learned years ago, doing graffiti and stuff. So
So, what do you find most inspired when you're creating art?
um, there's a lot. I mean, music is important, which music is an art also. So growing up in Newark and going to different clubs with my friends, and that's actually how I met my wife. Also, um, the music inspires me. So the music, my culture, I'm Puerto Rican Colombian. I consider myself a Color Rican, which is a combo of both. And it comes out, it's in my blood. So the music inspires me, my family inspires me, my culture inspires me, and other artists, whether they're gone already or those artists that are out there, I think we're all basically influenced by others. And sometimes it happens unconsciously. So I remember, when growing up, people would say, "Oh, you're biting off me," and this and that. But sometimes when my students say, "Oh, he's copying," or "She's copying off me," I just say, "Hey, you know what? Take it as a compliment. There's something about your work that you're doing that they enjoy and that they love that they actually want to copy it. They're
Mhm.
not naming it their own. They're just taking some little aspects of what you've done and, creating something new. And I think for me, that's what I do as an artist. I mean, there's so many things out there that can inspire. It could be a color combination that I see somewhere. I'll be like, oh my goodness, and I need to, and, I'll put it in my phone, or something may pop up, or having a conversation with someone, and an idea pops up. So,
You're
you
like,
know,
I gotta act on this.
yeah, you gotta have those resources, and you gotta always take notes, and so that you can be able to fall back on those things when you need to.
Throughout your career, Jose, I know you've done so much and you're still doing so much. Did you ever feel like I need a break? I want to give up. I want to change direction.
Um, Not really. I mean, I think there are times when I have to wonder and be like, okay, I'm doing all this work and some of the recognition is there and some of it is not. And I think that's like it's like a roller coaster ride, And I think until someone or a gallery actually sees your work and says, "Oh, that's something that I need because it's marketable now at the time or whatever," or you just catch somebody's eye and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is the work." Um, I'm gonna keep going, but those I guess those could be the downfalls. When you go on it's not going on an audition if you're a dancer or if you're a musician and you want this, or an actress or an actor, and you want this part, but there are, 1,000 other people out there who want the part also. So they'll tell you no, but you just got to be like, okay, you know what? That's a part of the life that you have to go through. And there are artists out there, some of my friends who have that opportunity and people have seen their stuff and said, "Oh, this is something that I want to put out there in the world or whatever." And they're making it, and I'm happy and I'm proud for them also. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I gotta do. God will continue to bless me. And when the right time comes, it'll come. But I'm going to stay happy doing my art and continue to inspire others, I hope.
Absolutely, you will. I remember when I was first talking to you, you were in New Jersey and you said you have to break down everything because you had just showed a lot of your pieces. What is it like when you're traveling and you're showing your work in different areas? What is that like?
Well, it's exciting and it's can be time consuming and sometimes it can be stressful because um, sometimes I guess for me, I have to rely on others. So I have some great friends of mine who actually are very humble and will offer up their truck to me or any other service that I may need. And so when I need to travel back and forth, and I think that's the thing. It's just like until a major gallery or a major museum, excuse me, picks your work up, you have to be the one that's transporting the work back and forth and putting the show up or taking the show down and everything else like that. But it's a learning experience, and it's something that you go through. And hopefully I'll get to the point where I don't have to worry about that, where they'll send someone to the house or the studio and say, "Hey, we're here to pick up the work," and they'll,
Yeah,
put it in the box crates and everything and ship it and everything. And all I have to do is make sure that I get to the opening. So I don't have to go through all that. But thank you that, for these people and for my wife who's very supportive. And they're the ones who basically are the ones holding me up. So having a great foundation until you can have others to be able to take over those pillars that they're holding up, do the work, then I keep trucking. I keep making sure that I thank them also.
I think that is a great message. Just surrounding yourself around positive people. In this case, is a lot of your mentors, your family, your friends. I think that's so important when you're doing anything, really, just having that support system. So I always tell people, whoever you're around, look at that and look at where you are. And are you trying to elevate? Are you trying to come out of that situation and do more with yourself?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's important. And it's important to also make sure that, you're bringing people along with you when you're going on your journey and that, and that you're opening doors for others and that maybe you opening a door for another person may close one for you, but guess what? Somebody's getting through that door. So.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So, can you tell us all where we can find your work? People that are interested in all that you
Oh, right now,
do.
I have work at the Durham Arts Council. We formed a Latino artist collective, myself and six other artists, to make sure that I guess we don't get played out as in the Latino community, and they know who we are. So that show is up at the Durham Arts Council is up until I believe March 10th. And as far as any social handles, just on Instagram under Cruzwear Studios One, you can find some of my latest work that I post. I'm always working on something, and I always tell this to my students also. I don't care what you're working on. It could be something very small. You could be sitting at the kitchen table eating, and you just have your sketchbook right there. Just draw something. Draw the salt and pepper shaker. Draw something because you always want to keep your skills up. Now, for me, and I have to say this. I'm a very versatile artist. Um, there are a lot of artists out there that have a certain style, and when you see their work, you're like, oh, that's so and so's work because of the certain subject matter or the colors that they use or just the style that they're working on. For me, I've learned this from one of my late mentors, Russell Murray, who he was the first African American and only African American art director that Blue Cross and Blue Shield ever had. So he always said, Jose, just stay versatile. Whatever mediums that you're working on. So if it's a portrait that someone wants, if they want it in pencil or acrylic oil, you'll be able to knock it out. I'm still able to do that. I'm doing my photography. I can, I work on my computer. I do computer graphics. I do logos, all that. And I'm able to do my work also, the style of work that I love to do, which is my cultural work. So, and it's for me, it's a plus. For others, maybe it's not a way to go, but I think that no matter what, it'll happen if it was supposed to be.
Do you offer private lessons, art lessons for individuals?
Um, I had before. I haven't in a while because I've just been busy. And, with teaching and everything else going on, I've just been busy. So until I can actually probably teach at the collegiate level, that's when I'll start basically, doing my lessons and stuff.
And lessons in. Okay. Well, thank you again so much, Jose. This has been super informative. I'm going to put all of your hashtags down at the bottom where people can find you. And thank you so much, stars, for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, take care and stay bright, my stars.